Lift your hearts up to the Lord.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Spread the news that He is joy. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Sing in the mountains, sing in the meadows, sing hallelujah, God is joy.
Lift your hearts up to the Lord.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Spread the news that He is true. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Sing in the mountains, sing in the meadows, sing hallelujah, God is true. Lift your hearts up to the Lord. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Spread the news that He is love. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Sing in the mountains, sing in the meadows, sing hallelujah, God is love. Sing in the mountains, sing in the meadows, sing hallelujah, God is love. Jesus Christ is born this day. Hallelujah. Born to drive our night away. Hallelujah. Joy on the mountains, joy in the valleys, joy to the nations, Christ has come. Jesus Christ is born this day. Hallelujah. Born to drive our night away. Hallelujah. Christ has come. Joy in the mountains, joy in the valleys, joy to the nations, Christ has come. Jesus Christ is born this day. Hallelujah. Born to drive our night away. Hallelujah. Joy on the mountains, joy in the valleys, joy to the nations, Christ has come. Joy on the mountains, joy in the valleys, joy to the nations, Christ has come. The Christ shines asleep, the silence is so deep, that round about with hope in their eyes. The animals await, their breathing they abate, they know their time has come to arise. For Jesus came on earth to offer second birth to all who would the blessing receive. The inner peace He brings can lift us on soul wings to soar in light and heaven perceive. Our pleasures and pains, our losses, our gains, have kept us long bound. The ropes of yearning hemmed us round. We dreamed of imposing on desert sand flower gardens of beauty, verdant vales of
morning, everyone. Merry Christmas to those who lingered in a little bit later. Today I'll be reading from Rays of the One Light by Swami Kriyanandaji. This week, the title of this week's reading is What Was the Star of Bethlehem? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. Divine vision is the opposite of worldly sight. Divine vision sees God's presence behind all outward appearances. Worldly sight sees appearances merely, coating even the blazing wisdom of a saint. A master to the worldly man is a human being with perhaps a slightly better attitude than the norm. The scriptures therefore strive to demonstrate how the divine consciousness, when openly active among men in the lives of great masters, must never be viewed as an expression of ordinary human consciousness. To seek the presence of divinity behind the life of a great master is to prepare oneself to recognize that same divinity also in lower manifestations until at last one beholds God everywhere. Thus it was that Paramahansa Yogananda, on observing his new disciple Swami Kriyananda struggling with the contrast between Guru's human appearance and his inner divine reality, looked at him deeply one day and said, "If you only knew my consciousness." The story of the birth of Jesus Christ contains an account in the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 2, of the Star of Bethlehem. The wise men who sought Jesus in his manger said, "We have seen his star in the east, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was." This account was important, for it showed all mankind that Jesus was a divine incarnation and no ordinary man, that he brought divine consciousness to earth, even though he would play a human role among human beings, and that others too, by receiving him in their inner hearts, would acquire power, as the Bible puts it, to become the sons of God. The Scriptures enjoin us to meditate on the lives of great souls, that we may discover our own latent spiritual greatness. As the Bhagavad Gita puts it in the 4th chapter, "Who knows the truth touching my births on earth, and my divine work, when he quits the flesh, puts on its load no more, falls no more down to earthly birth, to me he comes, dear Prince." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
Again, happy Christmas to you all. And this, I'm going to speak just very briefly because we have many other very fun things to do together, and in a vain effort to try to keep with the scheduled times, we're going to move on shortly. But it's such an inspiration to hear Master's voice speaking at Christmas time to his close disciples. But of course, being omniscient, knowing all things, he knew that one day we would be also listening to his voice speaking to us. And this isn't the recording where he says, "Of course you understood, this is Paramahansa Yogananda speaking to you through a wire." But he is nevertheless speaking to us outwardly as well, of course, as inwardly. And that's really the point, that just as the worldly person can see a master and not even recognize him. And I don't say this to point the finger outwardly. I say, even what about myself? How much did I recognize of Swami Kriyananda when I first saw him? Sure, there was something there, definitely, but my awareness, my appreciation, and my estimation of him only grew over the years. And I was able to relate to a statement he made when one of Master's disciples said to him, to Swamiji, "Every time I think I've understood Master, he somehow then surprises me." And Swamiji said he marveled that she could even think that she could hope to understand him. As Master said once, when you understand a master, you will be one. When people were sort of questioning his guru. And so it's like that all the time with the great saints. So not looking at other people, but even looking to ourselves to appreciate even more what we have been given. And I mean, of course, first of all, these great gurus who have come for our benefit. Yes, to benefit the world generally, but the whole world will not take up Kriya Yoga. Swamiji said this to me directly when I asked him if everyone who read Autobiography of a Yogi even would eventually learn Kriya, because for me it was one and the same. And he said, oh no. And why oh no? Because very few people are worthy? No. Because very few people are capable? No. He said, because very few people actually want God. And that's the point. You see, we can sometimes speak of the worldliness not recognizing the master and so on. We can speak of, oh, these teachings or this country or this religion, but even speaking of India, which I have great love and respect for and great gratitude to be here. But still, even having, swimming in the Vedas, how many people actually seek God? Swamiji prayed at the Shankaracharya, was it Shankara? It might have been Shankaracharya's temple. No, it was in Puri, in the Jagannath temple. And he was perhaps one of the first Westerners ever to be let into the temple, before or since. And anyway, sorry if I sounded a little bitter there. So when he finished his prayer at the temple and he came out, the priest said, what do you pray for? And Swamiji said, I pray to God for His love and that He bless me with self-realization and liberation. And the priest said, oh, it's beautiful. And Swamiji, of course, coming to India from America, said, what do you mean, beautiful? He said, isn't that what everybody prays for? And he said, oh no, they pray that please let my daughter get married and please let they write my son's roll number on the wall for his exams and also he should get married too. And so, these things aren't wrong in themselves. But how many sons have you gotten married? How many daughters have you gotten married? How many times have you been married? How many times have you taken the 12 standard exams? And would we like to again, and again, and again, in order. It's a little bit tiring. You see, and that's what we also can recognize, not just in the masters, God's light coming through them to us. That's what we loved about Swamiji. And he said it, because someone even asked him, you said we shouldn't be attached, but can we be attached to you? And he answered in sort of a sideways way, addressing the bigger picture. And she said, you didn't say no. You didn't say we couldn't be attached to you. And so she forced him to answer directly. He said, well, if you are drawn to me, it is not to me personally, but what you see in me, what you see coming through me. And he said, moreover, what you see in me is your own soul reflected. And it's true. We instinctively seek that higher self. We feel that thrill. Why? Because we are hungry. Because we are interested. It takes a long time to develop that hunger, that interest. That's what I say, even being in the land of the Vedas, as I think there's that one poem of, I can't even remember her name now, but anyway, she said, basically she smiles to see a fish in the sea, thirsting, a thirst. It's sort of like we're in the land of the saints, and then to sort of feel like there's not enough. But we have to seek it. Some people will sometimes say to us after one of our public lectures, yes, it was very nice, but we know all this already. And I smile, because what else is there to do but smile? I'm very happy for them. But one of my friends sort of basically mutters under his breath to me later, yes, but how much are they practicing? And I don't say that to point the finger out. I say, what could be said of us? How much are we practicing? Not critically. But whenever that temptation comes to say what others are not doing, say, forget it. Let me just mind my own business. Better to cross the finish line And then you can smile and say, hey God, I made it. And God says, congratulations, now go back and help other people make it. As soon as you clear your exam, you have to help the others prepare and study. Literally, Master said you have to free 6 others. Once you are free, you have to bring 6 others to that same level of freedom before you can move on to a higher stage of freedom. It's how God keeps the whole scheme going. And thank God, because where would we be without Yoganandaji? Where would we be without Krishna and Christ? Where would we be without Swami Kriyananda? How would we even know any of these things? And so, look to the masters to see that the divine coming to you through them. Remember, that which draws you to them is your own higher self. But it isn't just an abstract self that way. It isn't just God's presence generically. It's also very particular. You have been with Master many lifetimes. And see also that light shining in each other. Why do we feel a sense of kinship with one another? Jesus Christ said that when someone said, your mother and is calling you, he said, who is my mother and father and brethren but he who loves God? Now, his mother was, as far as mothers go, was pretty saintly. She wasn't any slouch. She was spiritually, she was a great, great soul. She had given birth to Christ, to Jesus. And so, but still, he was affirming. And for all of us to say, your mother and father and brother may also love God, so fine. But he was saying that's the true kinship. And why? The reason is that, quite honestly, you have very likely been in the room, you are in the room, and you've been in the room too, but you have been with these people in the room, many of them, perhaps a lot longer than even we have been with our own families in this lifetime. Not in this lifetime, but added up over lifetimes. You see, you may have been meeting some of your relatives for the first time in this life. But you may meet some of your Guru Bhais and have some kind of a recognition. How often do we say to people when they come and we meet them for the first time, haven't we met before? Say, no. No, haven't we met before? No, never. I mean, I came to some free lectures. Well, okay, then we have met before. But in many cases, we haven't. But there's that sense of recognition. And of course, it's to a greater degree with some versus others. There's families within the family, but still. Why are we drawn together? Because we love God. And because we are a part of the same family with our Father and all of our gurus watching over us. So that's what I was saying. It's not just abstractly, yes, we all love God together, though it is that ultimately. It's also particular. Master came for you, specifically. He said, I will ply my boat many times across from the shores after death. Sorry, I'm not getting the words right, but you're going to hear them in a moment, actually. And also, he said, as long as one stray brother is left weeping by the wayside. Are any of us stray brothers or sisters weeping by the wayside? No, we're like trying to get in the boat. We're saying, as long as you've come, God's Boatman is the name of the poem. Is there room in the boat for one more? Because I too would like to go. I too would like to be with you and have your consciousness. So see that light of God coming to you not only through the masters, but also through one another. It's easy when we sit around with murka and coffee to, talk of Modi or think of, the monsoon, yes or no, and all these things. And that's fine. No harm in it. But don't let that remove from your mind the quality of the people that you are mixing with. The same quality is in you. I don't say this to inflate any egos. Then I will have done the opposite job. See how spiritual we are. Oh, so no, it's not that. But on the other hand, do appreciate the dedication of others and also appreciate that dedication in yourself. It is very hard to go it alone. I don't need to explain that to you because you've already experienced it in your life up until now. It's only been 5 years we've been together. And I was just thinking, remember that place called Alwarpet? It's starting to fade. Bhimana something or other. I don't even remember anymore. That was the address. You know, this time next year, if my calculations are correct, we will have been in this center longer than we will have been in that center. And it will have just been a wonderful place, but it will be part of the past. It's a wonderful present that we are in. But the great thing about spiritual friendships is that they only grow and deepen over the years as the individuals themselves grow individually in God consciousness, but also as we have more shared experience, more pilgrimages, more Christmases together, and also more meditations together. But really, see that light coming to you in the eyes of the others, and try to share that light, you know, in a sort of normal, inspiring way, not, are you receptive to my light? I am sharing. Not like that. It's not our light. It's God's light. But really, it's a joy for us, and it's a real blessing to both of us to be here with you all. Remember that. It's very meaningful to us. It's one of the greatest blessings of our lives. Because we too say, who is my brother and father and mother and sister, but he who loves God. And we see that beautiful spirit in all of you. Thank you.
I'll just say one thing. It's really a joy to see all the faces here, everyone that we know, and there's such a feeling of divine family in this room. And it's all due to your own efforts of tuning into the Guru and coming and sharing in satsang. It's just a terrific joy. So glad you could all come. And we'll do a blessing. We have a little gift. We have a bigger gift when we do the Divine Mother gift exchange, but we have a little gift right now. And then we'll go into the acting mode.